Hello there, and welcome to Talking with Clyde. My name is Clyde Morse, and you guessed it, I'm the Clyde. And this is a brand new channel I've created to discuss my experiences in living with China. I also, at times, want to talk about life lessons that you can take away from entertainment mediums, such as video games, storybooks, and even movies. However, I really would like to say, though, that primarily my very first focus will be about my experiences in China. Channel is I am hoping to inspire more people to leave their comfort zone and follow their passions. Because I can say from personal experience, it is a very horrible thing to be in a situation where you're only doing it for the money or you feel like you have to settle. I really want to inspire those to leave their comfort zone and do what makes them happy. Do what gives them fulfillment. And I am really hoping to try to just do my part to make the world a better place. My very first video will be about my very first day in China. I'm hoping to look forward to it. Please leave me comments below what you would like to see or any questions you may have, or even how I can improve on future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye. Hey there, and welcome back with Talking with Clyde. So on my introduction video I said I was going to talk about my very first time in China, and I cannot talk about that without talking about the flight to China. Now I believe my flight to China was roughly 15 to 16 hours, and when I mean 15-16 hours, I mean the state I was in going to Shanghai, China. And that was a very long flight. At first, it wasn't bad, but then as it dragged on and it was getting to the 12, 13, 14 hours point, I was just thinking, I never want to fly again. And then finally, I landed in China and I was so happy. So, I finally arrived to China after that very long plane ride. And to my surprise, in Shanghai, there was a lot of English. And I could use that English to get to customs there, which I need to be next. And I finally got to the customs officer, and then the officer asked me a specific question: where will I be staying? And I'm thinking, oh shoot, I don't know. So I could not answer the question, so eventually I gave him all of my paperwork on all the files for the job I was going to be working for China, and the officer, shook his head at me, found what he could use, and just accepted me, and I made it through customs. And I made it through after customs. I just picked a big sigh of relief, and then it was time to talk to my contact. So it was time to reach my contact, and then I had no service. And this is when I discovered that when you go overseas, you should either A, have a country SIM card, or B, have an international plan in that country. But of course I had neither, and I felt very nervous. I felt very scared because at this point I had no one to talk to, no one to call, no one to help me out at all. But thankfully, like I said before, there was a lot of English in the Shanghai airport, and I could see where there was currency exchange and SIM cards. So with the money I had, I went to the currency exchange, exchanged my money, and I went to the Chinese SIM cards. I got my SIM card, they did it for me, and even though I found later I was overcharged because I was at an airport, I was so relieved that I had service again and I could finally reach my contact. So I finally was able to reach out to my contact. And he was very nice and happy that I was there, welcomed me to China, so happy to have me a part of the team, and I was finally able to reach him. Then he told me the rest I had to do, which was pick up my stuff and find the driver. And thankfully with all the English signs, I was able to find my stuff. Then it was time to look for the driver. And I remember when I was looking for the driver, it was very scary because I saw a sea of people and I saw a sea of signs. And I saw Chinese signs, English signs, French signs, but thankfully I did see my name. And I was so excited to finally see my driver, and because it means I was one step closer that my journey was almost over. And you know, I said hello and tried to greet him, but he did not understand what I was saying. And he didn't understand what I was saying. And that's when it really first hit me that I'm in another country. Then he called my contact and told him that he got me, and you know, things that driver would say. Then Johnny translated what was going on and told me what to expect next. Then the driver gave me a lot of hand gestures to lead me to the car. And that once I went into his car, that's when it really hit me. I was in a new country. So I finally was in the car to go to my destination in China. And I was trying to sleep, but I was so scared and nervous that I couldn't bring myself to sleep. Also at that time, I was trying to message my friends to get my mind off of things, but at that time, I had no way to reach out to my friends, and I couldn't even let them know that I was okay or fine. I couldn't talk to my friends. I couldn't talk to my family. I was at that moment very alone. And then with the taxi driver, I really couldn't ask him for any help because we could not communicate because I didn't speak Chinese and he didn't speak English. And more, when I was going to our destination for those 2.5 hours, I was getting more and more scared. I was feeling more alone, and I kept asking myself this question the entire time: Clyde, what are you doing? Finally, after 2.5 hours, we finally made it to my destination. And then I met my contact and the direct supervisor of the company I'd be working for at the time. And you know, standard fare, they welcomed me to China. They said, welcome to this apartment complex. And they helped me with my stuff, and they took it to where I'd be staying for the next 3 years. And then they answered questions I had. My most important question at that time was, how can I reach out to my family and friends? And they gave me good advice on how I could reach them, and also, as well as many other things I could do to make my stay in China more comfortable. And then I remember taking one big group selfie with them, but then it was time for them to go. And then when they left, all the feelings I had on the drive intensified. My fears, how scared I was, not knowing what I was doing. I mean, I was coming to the realization I really had no one I could ask questions, or that I really had any real money to actually at the time go back home. And I just, at that moment, I really didn't know what to do, and I was trying my best not to, but in the inside I was freaking out. But when I went to bed, I had no idea that this was going to be the start of possibly the best 3 years of my life. Thank you for seeing this whole video. This is once again been Talking with Clyde, and I just told you about my very first day in China. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions or you want to comment, please leave a comment below. On this side, you will see my social media outlets, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Talking with Clyde. Today, I'm going to discuss my very first impressions of China. So after waking up and starting my first real day of China, I got a message from my direct supervisor, and he was going to show me around the area we were living in. So I met him before he went to work, and he showed me the area. We walked around, he treated me to breakfast, and he was just letting me know a lot of cultural things in China, telling me what I can expect, and also a lot of things that would really help me find my own way of life in China. So when I got back to my apartment, my direct supervisor went to work, and I was going back to my apartment. I had every intention of walking out the area to, find out everything for myself, but as soon as I went back to my apartment, I just collapsed on the bed, just thinking, all of a sudden everything was hitting me like I was in China. I knew nothing. I didn't know where anything was. It was like I had to relearn everything from scratch. And part of me was thinking, this has to be a dream. I'm just gonna wake up. But the other part of me knew that this was no dream. And it was morning when I went back to my apartment. And before I knew it, I had let the morning, the afternoon, and it was already evening. I couldn't believe it was already evening and there was no food in the apartment. I haven't really eaten anything since my direct supervisor treated me. So I finally convinced myself to get out of bed and actually walk outside. And when I went outside, I convinced myself it's time to go and get some food. And I remember I went to the supermarket that was near where we lived and I walked into it. But it is so much different than what I was used to. Like, for one thing, there was a lot of Chinese characters and much different brands and how they kind of marketed some things. Like, I couldn't tell soap from lotion and shampoo from lotion and body wash. I couldn't tell the difference between milk, cream, yogurt. So a lot of things was when I was buying things, getting things, I was hoping I was getting the right things to use it. And I could only hope that, what I got worked it when I got home. So in the end, I got what I thought I could use. I went home, I put everything up, and it was time to try to start cooking something. And it was my very first experience using a Chinese hot plate. Now, as someone who has cooked many times in the kitchen, I felt very confident about using a hot plate. However, what I did not know is Chinese hot plates, they heat up very quickly. And I cannot remember what I tried to make at first. What I do know is it became black and burnt very quickly. And I had really no idea how to control the hot plate. And I think I was able to save it enough where it was edible. But whatever I made that day was very black and burnt. And I learned a very important lesson. When it comes to hot plates, start at a low temperature and build up. So I just finished eating dinner. And then after I ate dinner, I went ahead and finally started setting up my apartment. Perhaps the biggest thing I had to do was set up something called a VPN, which really helps you go through the internet, because in China, a lot of things are blocked. And if you don't have a VPN, a lot of privileges that we have in the US to go on a lot of sites, you don't have that option in China. So you need a VPN in order to take advantage of those privileges. And that took quite a bit of time to actually set up. And then also I got messages to let me know of what I was going to have to prepare for the next day, which was medical checkups and going to the office to meet my coworker for the first time. And so after setting everything up and researching more about culture, Chinese culture, I went to bed and started to mentally prepare myself for my very first day of being an ESL teacher. Thank you so much for watching Talking with Clyde. This has been an episode of me reminiscing about my very first impressions of China and my very first experiences in China. If you have not already, please like, comment, and subscribe. I hope your day is as awesome as you are, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello there and welcome back to Talking with Clyde. First, I just want to say thank you all so much for subscribing, liking my videos, all these wonderful comments. Thank you so much. I'm not able to do these things without you. So before I say anything, I just want to say thank you all for all your support. So today, I'm going to be talking about my very first day as an ESL teacher. Not my first day teaching as an ESL teacher, but my very first day as an ESL teacher. So the day finally arrived that I was going to start my day as an ESL teacher. I was going to meet my co-workers. I was going to step into the building and see where I was going to work, what it would be like. But before that, I had to go to the hospital to be checked out. It was very common procedure so China can make sure you're as healthy as you were in the States as you are when you're in their country. So I got a message to let me know that my ride was here so we can go to the hospital. And when I met my ride, she was a local from China, and the best person to find out about another country is someone who actually lives there. So she was giving me more cultural tips. She was telling me about the very basics of learning Chinese Mandarin, and before I knew it, I was at the hospital. And I thought that a hospital checkup they would kind of take their time, but I was very wrong. Because in my experience, at least in Wuxi, China, when they give you a checkup, it's more like a checkup marathon, because you do a test, next test. You do another test, next test. You do a test, next test. And it's just quick, and you're just going, but what about my results? But as they will tell you, we'll tell you your results later. And before I knew it, it was over, and I was driven over to the building where I would see my co-workers and where I would work for the very first time. So I walked in the building, I met some of the receptionists and the main people who I would ask questions if I had any concerns about my apartment, cultural concerns, on all those things. Also, one really nice thing they did was they offered to buy me lunch, and of course I took it, and I wanted to try one of more local foods, because since I was going to be in China for a while, I better try some local foods. And then after that, I went into the office where I met a lot of my co-workers. I got to see many local teachers. I got to see also some foreigners. Some of the foreign teachers were from America like myself. Also, others were from the UK, and at that time, Ireland and the Philippines. And then very soon I met my direct supervisor again, and he introduced me to the managers and the leaders of our school. And I got a big book to look at, to read about, to learn about the rules and things. So while meeting and greeting, learning about who I'm working with, and reading the book as well, my lunch came, and then I went into the kitchen to eat lunch. And since it was a local dish, I was supplied chopsticks. At that time, my chopstick skills were non-existent, to say the least, and I was struggling very much. I could not use chopsticks to save my life. And one of the locals saw me and just gave me a spoon to help me out. It was to make life much easier for me, and that's when I had one big goal to learn while in China. Learn how to use Chinese utensils so I can eat. So after lunch was over, my desk was ready, so I got to try to study up more on the rules, the rest there, and get accustomed to my workspace. Then my direct supervisor came, because it was roughly the end of the day, and he let me know that sometime this week I'll be able to log into my own account, and also gave my schedule, so what I could expect, what I'd be doing for the rest of the week. And also, since we live in the same building, he helped show me how I can get home from the school. But before we went home, he was kind enough to treat me out to dinner, and it was at a noodle shop, to have more one-on-one time on what did I think about my very first day as an ESL teacher, about the hospital, about what are my thoughts, concerns. And at that time, one big concern I had was I was not really that good at using chopsticks to eat. And he said it's perfectly natural, and gave me a lot of survival tips on how I can use chopsticks better. After that, I went home, saw my schedule, and just mentally prepared myself on trying to learn a completely new craft, which was teaching Chinese kids English. This has been another episode of Talking with Clyde. You just heard my very first experiences as an ESL teacher, and with the next video, I will talk about my week of observing and training, where I'm learning how I can actually teach kids English. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for your support. Please continue to like, comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe, and also get notified when I upload new videos. Also, please check me out on my Instagram and Twitter accounts. I hope your day is as awesome as you are, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. back with Talking with Clyde. Before I begin, I first want to say thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, and leaving me comments. Thank you for the positive feedback. It gives me so much motivation to keep going and continue what I am doing, and I hope you enjoy what you see in the future. Today, I want to talk my very first week of observations and training. And I was very anxious about these because I had no idea what to expect. I had no prior experience to ever teaching before. So it started like a lot of jobs nowadays. I was logged into a training account and I took some quizzes about what they thought that my job entailed. But thankfully, also during that week, I got a schedule and a private meeting about what I could expect, more observations with teachers, as well as one-to-one with senior teachers to help explain more about what I can do and what I could expect to help better prepare me for the job of actually teaching my first classes. So during that week when it was time to observe classes, I remember I was always so impressed with all my co-teachers because they just had this great style, how they interact with the kids, like the games they would play, the activities they would play, or they would do this incredible classroom flow. And I kept thinking to myself, how will I ever be at that level? How will I ever be as good as they are? And I have to give my coworkers credit. This was the thing they always told me. They always told me, Clyde, it takes time. It takes time to find your own style. And before you know it, you'll be as good as us. When I wasn't observing classes or doing the computer tests or the computer training, I was with senior teachers or my direct supervisor for one-to-one trainings and classes on how I could be an effective teacher. And I was being told things such as multitasking, such as kind of like having the eyes at the back of your head when you're writing on the board, or even what would I do when I'm trying to, say, discipline one kid but try to teach the class at the exact same time. And the other suggestion I remember I got a lot of times that was a very big concern was with games and activities, be very animated to really catch the kids' attention. And I remember for myself at that time, being animated was a very frightening and daunting thing because that was being animated being animated like that is very daunting and can be quite scary, especially in front of an audience and you're not used to doing it at all. I remember going home every day that week thinking, what the heck have I gotten into? All the multitasking, always being able to do it felt like 100 things at once. How to discipline and teach kids at the exact same time. How to be animated and keep that energy while also having this incredible classroom flow like I saw with my other co-teachers. And honestly, going into this, I really doubted what I could do. Looking back on it, I am so grateful for this job because forced myself to be animated and push myself to become a better teacher with kids and my peers pretty much observing me every day helped boost my confidence in doing things that are unfamiliar with me, as well as renewing the confidence that I thought I had lost forever in myself. Going back to what I said at the beginning of the start of this channel, one of the main reasons why I decided to share my story is to hopefully inspire those who to not settle with the cards that life have dealt them or to do things just for the money. If it's something that you're passionate about or if you want more out of life, don't be afraid to go out and just pursue it. Look at me. I am a living witness that just because that you may have not gone to school or your peers say you can't do it, you can be successful in what you put your heart into. Thank you so much for watching this whole video. This has been about me going through my very first week of observations and class training, as well as the obstacles I overcame so I could grow as a person. My next video will be about my very first weekend in China where I got lost, and then that will conclude the end of my very first week in China. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. Please continue to like and comment, and if you have not already, subscribe. Also, please check out my Twitter and Instagram account. I will see you next time. Bye-bye. welcome back to Talking with Clyde. I want to first begin by saying thank you all so much for subscribing, for watching my videos. Thank you so much for your kind comments. Thank you for the feedback, what I can do in the future that I hope to show in my future videos. Once again, thank you all so much. So today, I will talk about my very first weekend in China where I got lost, where my inability to ask for help and thinking what other people would think of me caused me to lose a lot of valuable time and resources. So after my first week of training and observations, I went out with a few of my co-workers to a few burger places near our school. And someone had a good idea to, it was a very big Buddhist temple in the area that was not too far from us. And I saw some of the pictures and I thought it was very cool and be a great opportunity to see some of the culture in China, as well as get to see a very good tourist spot. Now for me, China was still very new to me. To be honest, this was my very first time traveling internationally, so my ability to know my surroundings was not nearly as good as the guys who was planning this trip. And instead of being a smart person and asking for help or asking could we meet at a place we all knew very well, I pretended like I knew exactly what to do and said that I would be there and just give me the information. So the day of the trip arrived and I asked where are we meeting? And I was given a picture on where I could show the taxi driver. And like a big dummy, I didn't ask any more questions. I didn't ask for address. All I said was, okay, sure. And I was able to get a taxi and I showed the taxi driver the picture. And of course, you know, the taxi driver didn't speak English and I could barely speak any Chinese, or none at all, and he was confused. And after just keep saying that, here, go here, he eventually thought, okay, tried his best to go where I was trying to say to go by using the picture, and then I used the messaging system I had in China to tell everyone that I was on the way. So everyone arrived at the meeting location. Everyone except for me, because when everyone else was arriving, I was seeing on the taxi driver's GPS that I still had over 100 kilometers to go. And that's when the leader or the planner of the trip called and said, Clyde, where are you at? And I just said what the GPS said and where it looked like I was going. He's like, bro, I think you might be lost because it's only a few miles away from where we live. I'm thinking, uh-oh. And that's when it was discussed. That was when I really knew I was lost in China. And before I knew it, the taxi driver dropped me off in the middle of nowhere. I had no idea where I was, but thankfully there was plenty of taxis coming through. And also when you come into China, they gave me a foreigner survival card. So when the next taxi driver came, I just showed them my card and they just took me home. So I made it home in the evening, and when I got home, that is when the people of the group, the HR representative, and the direct supervisor all messaged me to make sure I was okay, asked me how I was, wanted to see if I needed anything else. I told them I was fine, and that's when I learned that I really had a good group of people I was around, and I've learned a very valuable lesson about how I should ask for help a lot more. And this was a story that I could always keep myself of how getting lost in China helped me open up more to actually ask people for help when I need to. Looking back on it now, I realize how silly it was that I did not ask for help. If I would have just simply told everyone that I'm still very uncomfortable to find the place, they would have realized and knew that I just started international travel, and they would have helped me find a place where we could have all met and gathered, and I would have felt much more comfortable going to the area as a group, and instead of wasting so much time and resources just to get back home. And I just want to tell whoever's listening, please do not be afraid to ask for help. Asking for help does not make you look silly. It gives you the opportunity to learn from other people things you do not know already. And anyone that thinks you are silly for asking for help, they are the real silly ones, because everyone has got help and received help from someone in one way or another. Thank you all so much for watching this video. This has been about how I got lost in China due to my own silliness. So once again, thank you for watching, and this video concludes my very first week in China. As discussed before, my future videos will be about other things I learned in China that will hopefully to inspire more people to pursue their happiness. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. Please check out my Twitter and Instagram to keep up with my content. And have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey there, and welcome back to Talking with Clyde. Well, as always, I want to begin by thanking everyone so much for following me, for giving me your feedback. Thank you for giving me so many ideas how I can improve. You motivate me to keep on going. So once again, thank you all so much. So last time I was talking about my very first experiences in the first week I was in China. Now I'm going to talk about my 3 big main lessons I learned when I was teaching my very first classes and also being observed by the management. And the very first big lesson I learned while teaching classes in China was being more adaptable. So before I knew it, my very first week of trainings and observations came to an end, and then it was time that I was going to have my very first warm-up class, and then after that my actual class. And I was very nervous because, you know, I never taught kids before. I knew nothing about teaching, or so I thought. And also, to make matters even more interesting, someone was going to observe me in my very first class, you know, to tell me about the feedback and then let the management and everyone know how I was doing. Even though she was doing her job, I could not help how very nervous I was because I did not know how well I was performed. I didn't know how the kids performed. And I remember while preparing and making a lesson plan for my very first class, I spent hours and hours looking at my lesson plan, and the ironic part is that did not help me at all. So it was time for my very first class, and this was my very first class where there was no one helping me. It was my own lesson plan, everything. And the kids came in, and I was thinking to myself, I have no idea what I was doing. I did not know what to expect. I wanted to just kind of run away from the room, but I didn't. And thinking about it now, I really underestimate those kids. And I say that because, like, all the activities and all the plans I made, the kids sped through it. They went by it so quickly, and I did not expect that they would actually know as much as they did. And here I am not knowing what to do, so what I ended up doing was doing the same activities over and over again until class was over. But what happened was the class became very boring, very slow. The kids were bored, I was bored, and it was something that helped me realize that I need to really become more adaptable. If I'm being absolutely honest with myself, my very first class I did by myself with no prior experience of ever teaching. I did okay, I guess. But the main issue that I see now is because I was so focused on the plan, because I didn't want to move away from the plan, I was not adaptable in any way, shape, or form. I could not think of any ways around the issue. Like, the kids were very strong. They knew the material that they were being tested, or I was trying to teach them. Why couldn't I make the content harder? Why couldn't I make it more difficult? Why couldn't I somehow build upon it so they can use so many layers of what they already knew? But I did not think about that, and I find that for a teacher and as well as in life, it's a very crucial thing to be more adaptable. In the classroom and transferring classroom skills to life, so many things can not happen that are not expected. I mean, life throws you curveballs. The classroom with kids who really do not want to be there throw you many curveballs. And being adaptable is so important. So the main lesson I learned was that being adaptable can really help you manage life's very difficult situations. Thank you all so much for joining me at Talking with Clyde. This has been when I learned how I needed to be more adaptable because I was still so focused on trying to stick with the plan even when that did not work out. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for all the support you give me. If you have not already, please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Once again, everyone, thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. there, welcome back to Talking with Clyde. As always, I want to say thank you all so much for your support, for watching the videos, for all the feedback you've given me. As always, thank you. Thank you for your encouragement and keep on giving me so much motivation to continue making these videos. So last time I talked about the biggest takeaway I got from the very first class I taught, learning how to be more adaptable. This time I'm going to talk about the main thing I learned when I was being observed through management, and how the biggest thing I learned when I was being observed was the biggest lesson I need to work on was being more confident in myself, learning to believe in myself again. I have to admit, before I went to China, I lost all confidence in myself due to prior life experiences. So after I learned that I need to be more adaptive for my first class, then my first class after that, a lot of times management would observe me to see what I can improve on. But at that time in my life, whenever they observed me or whenever I taught class at all, I immediately thought I did everything wrong. Everything I did was bad. Nothing I did was correct, especially because I had no child experience, I had nothing to rely on, and I was just expecting them, they were just going to say, Clyde, you were the worst thing ever. I could not be more wrong, because a lot of times they said, considering I'm just beginning teaching, I did very well and just told me things I could improve on. But the reason why I thought all those things was due to prior work experiences. A lot of times management will always say what I did wrong and never do anything to really try to build up my confidence. One major thing that the managers at my position told me was to have more confidence in myself. They were really so wonderful telling me things I was doing well on, letting me know that I had so much potential in what I'm actually doing as far as teaching, and the things that they recommended that I really needed to improve on, which was so helpful. And then as time went by, I gained so much more confidence, so that way in future classes I had a lot more confidence in what I was doing. And what I found out was when I taught with a lot more confidence what I was doing, my observations became a lot more successful, a lot more higher marks. My classes ended up becoming more successful because more students actually learned what I was teaching. And all around that, I felt much better with what I was doing because I learned how to be more confident in my teaching style. So the biggest takeaway I can say I really got, especially from being observed for my first classes, was becoming more confident, believing in myself more, having confidence in what I was actually doing. And what I found, that when you have confidence in what you are doing, not just in the classroom but in life, you'll find yourself more successful having the mindset that you will get it right. And even if you get it wrong, you're confident you'll find a way to think, what happened? How can I improve myself so things won't happen again? So I would just say it's very important, no matter what your profession or who you are, having confidence is a very important thing to have when growing as a person. Hey, thank you so much for joining Talking with Clyde. This has been about what I learned from being observed from management and how I need to learn how to become more confident. And I just want to say my next video will be about something that really can help influence being more adaptable and with confidence. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe if you can. I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Welcome back with Talking with Clyde. Once again, I want to thank you all so much for continuing to support me, for watching me, giving me positive, constructive criticism and feedback. And if this is your very first video watching, I hope you enjoy and think about maybe supporting me in the future. So the past two videos, I talked about very important lessons I learned in China. The first one was adaptability, and the second lesson I talked about was being more confident in myself. Now this video will be about how this lesson helped me learn both lessons, and we can help with many other things. And that is very important to have good people around you. So early on in China, I learned that how it could be such a wonderful thing to be surrounded by good people. Now for me, before I went to China, I really did not have that many good experiences with my peers. In fact, I thought the best way to live was to be a lone wolf per se. However, while trying to learn how I can live or find my own life in China, while being with other people who I worked with and other peers in China, I learned that a lot of times, a lot of people felt the same way I did. And also, I discovered so many outlooks that really helped hammer home lessons that I talked about in previous videos. It was so important and such an amazing thing that I met all these wonderful people. I was able to learn about so many different cultures, so many different viewpoints, so many reasons why other things do things. I met so many introverts and extroverts and why they are how they are, and it really helped me think about how people are how they are, and it let my mind become more flexible, adaptable, because I saw so many ways how, like, sometimes I would do a certain thing to reach point A to point B, but other people would do another way to reach point A and point B, and it could either be a better result or around the same result. And it just showed me how there are so many ways to do many things, and it helped my mind to become more adaptable. It helped me more to think more, which really helped in for my thought process and how I taught, and also how I plan, well, what my plans were to do after China. It was also such a refreshing experience to be around such encouraging people. As I said previously, before I came to China to teach, my training and experiences from my peers and management was to be yelled at, to like, whatever I did, it wasn't their way, so it was wrong. So, like I said, I figured everything I did was wrong. However, not where I worked in China. Because since we were teaching kids and there were so many viewpoints, we always encouraged each other, and a lot of my superiors and senior peers, they would always, like, you know, give me other ideas, give me actual constructive criticism. And as time went on, and when my abilities grew as a teacher, I also gave them ideas on how they could improve. And it was always like a give and take relationship. Like, we would always give each other encouragement and constructive criticism to keep on improving ourselves, both professionally and personally. These were an incredible bunch of people, because for me, I don't think there's really any other groups of people I would ever, if I was taking pictures like this, or this. And honestly, this is the only job I ever had where I was actually surprised for something like this. Yeah, like I said, such a great bunch of people. So the main point I'm making in this video is that having a good community of people around you is such a very healthy thing for one's mind and well-being. I mean, for me, having such a healthy, good community around me helped heal broken confidence that I didn't even know I had. I was not even aware being around a good bunch of people actually was. From only expecting hearing, "Clyde, you suck," versus, "Okay, Clyde, let's try this." And then we are bouncing so many ideas on how we can improve from each other. And like I said, I was able to learn so many things about so many different cultures, so many different viewpoints on other people, on different backgrounds. And it was such a wonderful thing that, like I said, having a good group of people can heal and also teach so many things. For me, my biggest things was adaptability and relearning, having confidence in myself. For others, it could be different things, because we're all different, and other lessons are more important to learn for others. And for anyone who's watching this, I beg of you, if you're not in a good community, please leave that toxic environment and find either a good community or at least one good person to be around. These are the people that will believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself, or when times are just really, really hard. Thank you so much for watching Talking with Clyde. This has been my video about the importance of being in a good community, where it helped me learn how to become more adaptable, to help regain my confidence, and of course, it was very healthy for my well-being. This also concludes the three most important lessons that when I first started teaching in China, which have been adaptability, regaining confidence, and being in a good community. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello there, and welcome back to Talking with Clyde. As always, I want to thank you all so much for continuing to support me and watching my videos and always helping me to keep improving my content. So today, I'm going to talk about some helpful tips of surviving in China. This is a very exciting topic for me to cover because a few individuals have always asked me what are some ideas or tips to survive in China, and honestly I want to recommend China is a great place to visit, but there are some tips that can definitely make your life there so much easier. So one of my very first big tips is to get at least 2 VPNs before going to China. Now in China, information is very highly protected and secure. So if you try to go online without a VPN, you'll find that many sites that you can enjoy in America, you're not able to. So, like I said, before you leave for China, get 2 VPNs. Now, I will always recommend to do your own research and to see what works for you. However, the VPNs I used was ExpressVPN and Pia. Now, Express was my main VPN and Pia was my backup. Keep in mind, though, there are times when the VPNs will be blocked in China, and you'll have to wait several days before your VPNs release updates that you can download so you can keep going to the sites that you want to. Though I will say though they are very good at updating information and letting you know and keeping you up to date so you're able to stay connected, talk to your friends and family when you need to, as well as keep up with whatever news is very important to you while in China. The next tip I would like to introduce, or I like to say that's very helpful to learn in China, is learning how to use chopsticks. Now in most Chinese restaurants, the only thing they have is chopsticks. I mean, sometimes they have a spoon, but a spoon is not a replacement for a fork. And good news is there are plenty of YouTube tutorials or many people who are willing to give you tips how to use chopsticks. However, for me, the best advice I can ever give is to just practice. Like before I came to China, I had absolutely no chopstick skills. But now I can hold pretty big, heavier type things, or I can hold small things. So if you have already know how to use chopsticks, you are in great shape. But if you do not know, if you don't know how to use chopsticks or your chopstick skills are not the best, then like I said, just practice. And as time goes by, you'll be amazed how much better you'll get as long as you keep practicing. Another huge tip that I would highly recommend is having a translator. And also, normally with translators, you can download a language so you don't need the internet. And also, it's helpful that if possible, you can find out that if your translator needs to be linked to a VPN in order to operate inside China. But obviously why it's a very good idea to have a translator is because just in case someone is not able to speak the English language, you have a way of answering questions and asking questions. However, there are a lot of people in China that will surprise you because their English is very good. This happened. However, this does not happen all the time. My experience with this is rare, but it can happen. Now, the software I used was something called Microsoft Translator. My girlfriend, she used Google Translate. Now, I really can't say which one worked better because some days hers worked great. Other days, mine worked great. However, I want to say that having a translator is no substitute for actually learning and knowing the language. However, learning the language is an extreme discipline that not everyone is able to do easily. So having a translators that have a way of communicating in another language will make your life so much easier. The last tip I want to mention is just have an open mind. America and China are two very different places. Like, here is an example. You see this? This is a floor toilet. This is very, very common in China. Now for us, we are used to having a seat. But in China, they're used to having floor toilets. So, but like for them, if they need to, they can handle their business anywhere. While for us, we want to be able to relax so we can, handle our business. And there's, several other cultural differences between us, but like I said, have an open mind and learn and really see how they can see the world. So you're able to learn so many other viewpoints. I mean, it's so wonderful to just experience how other people live their lives or how they view things, and you can just realize how things that you can do to make your life better, or things that you can really with that back at home that you're so grateful that you have. So that is just a very important tip I want to say is going to China, keep an open mind about their cultures, and you'll find that it's such a wonderful experience. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Talking with Clyde, where it was all about some basic tips to help you survive in China. Now, if you have other tips to help survive in China, please leave a comment below. Or if you have any other questions how to survive in China, again, please go ahead, leave a comment down below. And also, please like, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And here are my other social media platforms so you can keep up with me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your support. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, welcome back to Talking with Clyde. I know it's been a while since I've last posted anything, but first let me just say, everyone, happy belated New Year. And everyone, thank you all again so much for your support. Thank you for asking where have I been and everything, but I just want you to know that I've been doing a lot of things. I've been upgrading, I've got new lights, I've got a new screen behind me so I can make my background more interesting, because I've just been trying so hard to improve and listen to all the critiques I've been given so I can improve my content. The first thing I want to do is just thank you all so much for helping me reach my major milestone of reaching over 100 subscribers. It has been such a gratifying, fulfilling journey in reaching this milestone with everyone. Thank you all for the encouragement and ideas that helped me reach this milestone. And I know with everyone's support and help, I know I can reach even more milestones in the near future. I'm so happy I'm finally able to address some major criticisms that I've had in my videos, such as lighting and background, and I'm so happy that I finally have brand new lighting and a new screen behind my back, so I can finally make my backgrounds more interesting, just like I have been requesting for you guys. So everyone, thank you so much for continuing to encourage me so I can have even better content in the future. Speaking of future videos, I will continue on going with lessons I've learned in China, and my next little series about that will be that Kids Are Kids, where I'm just going to talk about what it was like teaching my different grade levels. And also in the future, I hope to do what I mentioned in my introduction video, which tell lessons that I can get, or hopefully anyone can get, from mediums such as movies and books and maybe even games. And I hope you'll look forward to that in the future. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for reaching this incredible milestone. I look forward to growing and having and reaching even more milestones with everyone. Again, if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. I look forward to any suggestions of how I can make my content better. Please look me up in my other social platforms, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey there, welcome back to Talking with Clyde. As always, I want to thank you all so much for your continued support. I can never thank you guys enough for always supporting me, and please, I ask for your support in the future. This video will be part of a series that Kids Are Kids, where I will talk about my experiences of teaching all the kids I had while I was in China. And also to show that even though they're in China, they're actually very similar to the kids that are how they are in the United States. And also, I just want to say that if anyone has any experience of teaching kids in China or otherwhere, please share your experiences in the comments below. As stated before, I had the wonderful opportunity to teach ages from 3 to roughly 16 years old. And this video will be more about how I taught the youngest, like around roughly 3 to 4 ages, and how, just like I said in my earlier statement, that even though they're from China, they are very similar to the kids in America, and also probably around everywhere in the world. So the youngest group, roughly 3 to 4 year olds, besides teaching them basic English words, we also try to teach them basic motor skills such as cutting paper, coloring the lines, following basic classroom rules, also tracing. And you know, on paper this sounds very easy and pretty simple, right? Well, anyone that's ever taught small kids before can tell you that kids at that age have extremely small attention spans, and a lot of things never go as planned. So especially for the first few weeks where they're really learning how class works and motor skills, and you have to find that, and I found that you really have to let your mind be very adaptable to try different things and do so many things to try to keep the kids' attention if you want to have a hope to have a very successful, good class with small children. For me, I found this level to be the hardest to teach. Now, the reasons why is, yeah, as I said, English is being taught as a second language, and you kind of always have to just use the most simple words and try to explain how to do activities and games. You always have to show a lot of visual examples, but even with that, because they're still learning how to be in class, learning how things work, when they see the visual examples, a lot of times your first attempt does not always go well, and they don't understand, and it sometimes takes multiple attempts for them to be able to get the activity or game right. And a lot of times I had to be able to tweak it. Not to mention, I had to always be in a very high upbeat personality, which took so much energy. And if anyone has any ideas or strategies of a very small way to how to teach kids a second language, please leave comments down below. But in my experience, what really helped is not only being patient, all willing to try to listen and be there. It took so much encouragement from both the teachers and the parents that they are doing well, that they're doing fine, and just always encouraging them to just keep on improving, and they're doing well. Around the end of class, this is when we set up the class for the kids to do their book work. And their book work had their own share of problems. But like I said, for one thing, you kind of had to get the class prepared to go to book work, which means you had to move chairs and tables around. And the kids would, sometimes try to help you, but you always ask them to sit down, because if they try to help you, they more likely either hurt one of their classmates or hurt themselves. And then even after that, when it's time for them to do the book work, even though the book work clearly has a label of what they want them to do, because they're so excited, sometimes they will destroy their book, take one of their classmates' books, do something completely different what they're asked to do. And a lot of times you had to really plan on how you would give the books, always kind of have like a process, get them used to when they all open the book at the same time, and try to explain how to do it around the same time, and constantly do like monitoring where you walk around real quickly to make sure they do it well. Doesn't always work out perfectly, but you try your best. And needless to say, in the office with my co-workers, we all had so many stories of what our small children did, because sometimes everything goes to plan. And yeah, like I said, we had some fun stories. And if you have fun stories, again, leave your comments down below. So this is like a very small preview or a small thing about what it was like to teach small kids in China. And another things I could also say about this age group is they could get very attached to a teacher. And what I mean that is, if they get attached enough, it's very difficult to find a sub-teacher or a teacher to replace a teacher, because if they see a new face they're not used to, they might get scared or try to run out of the class, and that could also be a very challenge. So when you're coming for someone, you really kind of have to have a very friendly persona. But other really bright things nice things I could say about this age group is they are easily very cute, very adorable, and also you are also so proud when they finally are able to have certain things click. Now, I will say also that even though they're from China, I always have heard that Chinese kids are always so smart. Now, I just want to say, in my experience in China, kids are just kids no matter what the country, because like in America, in China you have kids that are just very gifted or very hardworking. Also, some kids just have a hard time sitting down, being patient, listening, or sometimes they just want all the attention for themselves. No matter what the country, I've heard from many people they experience the same thing. So I would just say kids are kids. And the main thing that really separates the different types of kids is, I would say, their personal gifts, how they are raised, and living environment. Thank you so much for joining me with Talking with Clyde, especially for this first video where I talk about Kids Are Kids Part 1, where I talk about the youngest group of kids I taught. The next video will be about bigger kids and my experience with teaching them. But like I said with this video, kids are kids no matter what the country. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you have not already, please also check out my other social media platforms, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello there and welcome back to Talking with Clyde. As always, thank you guys so much for supporting me and my content. And as always, if you have any ideas for me to improve, please comment down below or send me a message through one of my social media outlets. So today, I am continuing my Kids Are Just Kids series, no matter what the country. And this time I want to cover bigger kids that are around the ages 4 to 8 years old, and sometimes a little older based on their English level. So the big mission with this level was to try to get kids to speak more English phrases and hopefully get comfortable enough with the English language they could go to a foreigner and tell them their name and be able to ask basic questions in English. However, this goal was a little unrealistic because there are some kids who are more bolder than others. And like what you can imagine, like I said, kids are just kids. Some kids, they need to get used to someone before they will even speak to them in any language. And of course, not all parents understood this. But regardless, the main point of this level was to try to make sure the kids would speak and read more English. So these kids, since they were a bit older, they had a lot more motor skills than they did as the babies do. You know, they can trace and they would normally start writing sentences. You know, they could color the lines, and sometimes you'd be completely amazed with what some of these kids could do. And also, I could play more complicated games and activities. I could also get more responsibilities, such as even letting them pick their own teams. And even if they were very strong, I could let them help out some of the kids that just didn't get it as much. And another thing I could say about this level of kids, around 4 to 8 years old, that it was very common for us teachers to have this group of kids. I mean, if I went around the office, it was common for, I'd say, every teacher to have at least, at minimum, 3 that they were doing at that one time. And what I could say is this, that either you had some classes that were just absolutely wonderful, other classes that were okay, then there were the classes that did about as well as you could expect, and then there were the classes that could test the patience of a stone. bookwork was normally a little bit simpler with this age group, because at this age, you know, in a perfect class, they should already know like what to do by looking at it, and they could figure it out for themselves. So as a teacher, you would more guide them in the right direction. However, that wasn't always the case, and other times, so a lot of times, you know, you would just go around and make sure they're on the right track, and the kids that really paid attention or were gifted, they almost didn't need your help. While some kids, you had to help them out a little bit. Then there's some kids you really helped, and then there were the other kids that really had no support at home. They didn't do their homework or the work at all. It was almost as if you kind of had to do it for them. And anyone that's taught kids before, I ask you to please share your experiences in the comments below, because I look forward to hearing them. I will say this level had some of my very favorite classes to teach, because it was just so wonderful to teach these kids. And even though not all classes were winners and some were very hard, I would say this level to me is when you could really see which kids really were gifted in learning English, as well as also see which parents would actually listen to you or listen to the teachers, and actually you could have this communionship to hopefully help the kids improve versus and also learn like the kids that also really needed the help or really needed like extra help to catch up with the rest of the kids. And like it was like such an important level to really gauge where the kids could go from next. And I just want to say also, it's been such a privilege just reliving some of these experiences, seeing these pictures again, just thinking about these kids. And I hope you've enjoyed my stories as much as I have reliving my old experience with these kids. Thank you so much for watching Talking with Clyde. This has been part 2 of the series Kids Are Kids. The very next video will be about older kids that should be around 8 to 12. And as far as anyone who has experience with kids could probably see that no matter what the country, kids are just kids. Once again, guys, thank you so much for watching and supporting me. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, check me out on my other social media platforms. I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.